Hey everybody, find the boys on Facebook by searching The Longbox, a month in comics, and follow them on Twitter at The Longbox MIC.
Hello and welcome to The Longbox, the road to Infinity War. I'm Doug Hawkins.
And I'm Danny Holmes, I'm back.
We've got Danny Holmes back for a second week. Okay, so this week it is Kenneth Branagh's Thor.
Yeah.
2011.
Can we just say that again? Kenneth Branagh's Thor.
Yeah, I know, when it
Amazing.
happened. Although, it really plays up in the movie. It has to be Branagh, in my opinion. Because what works with this movie is the fact, it's the Shakespearean stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you, but when I was very concerned about this movie being pitched and them doing it, I felt that this is a movie that was hugely high concept. It's not in keeping with comic book movies that we were watching at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't see how, Thor isn't a character to be saving cats out of trees or, how beating people in New York. It was like, this will not feel superhero to me. This is kind of out of their depth. So my theory going in, I said this to everyone while the build up to this movie, is just get the origin done. Just fucking get out of Asgard.
Yeah.
Get him on Earth, and then we can have a person on Earth with superpowers. Then it will feel like a traditional, make it like a Superman movie. Get him to Earth.
Yeah. So when you had that in your head, did you have the alter ego in your head at that point? Did you think we were getting done?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
No. I just thought we were just going to have him stranded on Earth. I just thought we were going to wrap up that bit at the beginning quite quickly.
Right.
And then have him, then almost a separate story being told on Earth.
Yeah.
Now looking back on it, I think it's the other way around. The Earth stuff is whatever. The stuff on Asgard is really fucking strong.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's coming out of like a post Lord of the Rings. That's why this movie works so well in those areas. But yeah, I think the Asgard stuff is just like the mythology that they set up, the world that they set up. It's just so.
I think Asgard looks really beautiful in this movie. Like after watching Dark World and Ragnarok, much closer to now, obviously.
Yeah.
Thinking, did Asgard look this good in Thor 1, or is it one of those situations where, they didn't show much of Asgard then, and they've had to build on it in the sequels?
Yeah.
Well, no, it looked amazing from the first shot of Asgard. It looks
I'm going to go even further and say it looks best. It looks best in this movie.
Right. Okay.
I think that more care has gone into the way that Asgard looks and the way it's shot and the size and the scope of Asgard is so big in this movie, and in comparison feels so much smaller in the other movies.
Right.
I don't want to go on to the other movies because we're trying to do these in order, but Thor Ragnarok especially feels fucking tiny.
Yeah, it does. You're right. Yeah,
it just feels like a fucking courtyard and a throne room.
A cave.
Yeah. And a cave. Yeah, that's all it feels like. Where in this, it feels like a working, like like in Thor 2, it feels like Cloud City size. In this, it feels like a world.
Yeah.
And so much care. I think the Rainbow Road has never looked as beautiful. Like, no one has taken as much care into the way that... it's almost like the other two directors just like, whatever. Like, we know what the Rainbow Road is. Whatever.
Yeah, we've got that sussed.
It looks delightful in this. In a way that, like, every time he takes a step on the Rainbow Road, light spreads out and stuff.
Yeah, I love the horse scene, actually, where they're all on the horses and racing towards
and you see the specs.
And it's all, lighting up, yeah.
So I think that Branagh's done a great job on the way that, and I do think then because of the way it's established in the other movies, it's just been taken for granted, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
I think the frost giants look really good in this movie as well. I know that maybe we could probably go in depth about like the thread of them as a villain or the fact that they're not, they're just convenient to the plot. But I think their imagery looks fucking fantastic. They look quite scary. They look like something we would have watched in the 80s or something like that.
Yeah.
And I understand it does that thing that I've mentioned in previous episodes where it does a lot of stuff in the dark to cover up the CGI, but that's absolutely fine for me.
Of course it is. They didn't realise that they could make billion-dollar movies back then.
Yeah, and again, that the battle scene right at the beginning where they fight the frost giants, competently done. However, if you watch it with this in mind, it's so narrow. It's shot so narrow. Yeah. Like it's just shot in close up almost, and it's just obviously to they just didn't have the budget or the ability to show scope. And
well,
I really
like. You just said the budget was already splashed on fucking Asgard.
Yeah,
that's
perhaps.
nice,
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because the sets would have had to be real. The costumes would have cost a bomb. The cast is fucking stellar.
Yeah.
Like, that's why the money's gone, and that is well spent. I think it's just that idea of, like, half measure. Like, could you shoot this on a wide? Probably. Well, probably ain't good enough. Just shoot it tight, and then we guaranteed that no one's going to question. You know, it can't. I always say this about, you know, the Defenders verse. The ones that work are the ones that kind of don't overstretch.
Yeah.
And then it feels like they fit in the Marvel universe because they're not doing bombastic things badly. They're doing small things, you know, on what would, in the same way that the movies would, sort of thing. And I think this is another example of that. It's like just shoot tight and no one will see the seam, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it works really well as a scene. It feels, and this is what I was saying about Kenneth Branagh needing to be the director, is like the first 30 minutes or so feels like it's Shakespearean, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's this world that's been created and it's kind of brotherly, you know, rivalry and kind of backstabbing and kings and queens and, you know, thrones. It feels really, really good. Yeah, I think that's where the film really, really works. It's a shame when he goes down on Earth. It's a different movie. I feel like when it gets down to Earth, it becomes like an oddball comedy.
Yeah, no, it does. But I've voiced this to you before. I quite like the stuff on Earth because I quite like that. For a change, it's not the world isn't in danger. It's just a fucking town in Mexico.
So you do like the fact it feels small ball.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Especially because Asgard is so big, like we've just said.
Yeah.
To then bring that down to just little it's refreshing to not have the whole fucking world at stake for a change.
It feels like an episode to me rather than a film.
Yeah, it could easily be Ages of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And what it is now. Sort of.
Yeah.
Especially with Coulson there.
Yeah. But that was all. I mean, and I enjoy the performance. I love Kat Dennings. I think she's hilarious, like in everything. I'm a huge fan of her. So it's nice to see her kicking around and doing a fun thing and all that.
I think everyone's great in it, and Natalie Portman's
Natalie Portman's fine. She's not brilliant, and I'll get to that later. But she's not bad in any way. Skarsgård's great. Coulson's great, but it just feels like mulling around. It just feels like we're meandering. There's no. Yeah, I mean, it's just going through the motions, having a bit of fun. It doesn't feel like a film to me. I think we could spend a long time, and I'd like to know your thoughts about this. Tom Hiddleston, is he amazing in this movie?
In this one, is he amazing in this one? I'm gonna say I think he's pretty good.
This is the most I've ever appreciated him.
Yeah.
Now, just to give a bit of context to people, everyone loves Loki as a character. I'm not huge on him.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. He's great in this movie and stuff like that. But I took umbrage with him being the big bad in Avengers because I understand what they basically. He's not powerful. He's not a threat that way. He's not imposing. He's not a good fighter. Yeah. He's a bit of a trickster.
Yeah.
And he kind of outsmarts people, which I suppose would be refreshing in an Avengers movie, but maybe not first out. And I just find it amazing that. Number one, he is known as the best Marvel MCU villain, which by default he is. It's because he actually has motive and character.
Yeah, okay.
But that's only by default, and it's a shame that that is the case because he's not an imposing villain. He just feels like a side villain to me.
He's now
exactly.
Yeah.
And so going into this movie, so I've always had, so I'll get back to my train of thought. I've always had that kind of like dislike for like how much people like Loki.
Yeah.
But going back to watching this movie, I can see why people like Loki so much. Like, he's actually in that Shakespearean way being given motivation.
Yeah.
Not as much as I think people say. Like I think people compare him to fucking Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It's not quite that because he's a wrong-in to start with. Like.
Yeah.
He's a bit with no real motive either, just jealousy. But again, I suppose that's the Shakespearean
jealousy
thing.
And the fact that he's been lied to and
the opening scene, he lets the frost giants in. It turns out based only
just
on
to ruin Thor's day. Thor. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's just I suppose we just buy that as like Shakespearean jealousy.
Yeah.
But from then on, you can see why he becomes a fucking like just shit is piled up. Like he becomes a victim of his own story. Yeah. And you can absolutely understand why he becomes the way he does. He wants his father's love and blah blah blah. So I think he's very relatable as a character and as a villain. Where in most Marvel movies, it's just they're bad guys and they just do bad guy things.
Yeah.
No real reason. They're just bad.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just crazy.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or they just go crazy inexplicably.
Yeah.
No, but Boss One Loki, I still don't understand. I was hoping that watching it this time would get it for me. I still don't understand how he's not a giant. I get he's a frost giant. Why is he not a giant?
Well, there's just a line.
And
in
how
it.
does the skin change and stuff?
So because I was watching this with my wife and she asked the exact same questions, and I was just like, environment is the only answer I can come up with, because it's convenient to the Shakespearean plot. There's a line where they're like, you were little for a giant, so that's it. But he just doesn't have any of the features, does it? I don't know. I don't know if it's big.
No, and then when he touches the, I forget what it's called, but the fucking...
The McGovern.
Yeah, the ice cube thing.
Yeah.
He then goes frost giant looking, and he looks cool.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it until watching it this time, and I'm like, why have we never fucking seen that again?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, why has he not stayed like that anyway? Once that's there, why is that not keeping him there? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think it's the magic of Asgard is the best way to describe it as well, because he has the Asgardian, like he's the god of something, isn't he? He's the god of mischief. So by being the adopted son of Odin, he's now become Asgardian and has been given whatever gives him the power to be.
Yeah, that's not explained
god
much, is it? What Odin is, because he's known as the All-Father. So does he give his power to disperse?
This is the thing. Like, so I don't know. He just like, I think you inherit, in the same way that our royal family becomes the Prince of Wales or the Duke of this and the Duke of that. I just think that's what happens. Like, you're part of the family.
They don't get a physical power.
I know.
I know this is the real world.
Yeah,
but
I think that's it. You're just randomly assigned the god of something, and then you are given a power.
And then So that's what I'm saying. So then, because it's. What's the mother called? Is it Freya? No, it's not Freya, is it?
I think
Frieza?
so. Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Rene Russo.
Yeah.
She teaches him the tricks. She teaches him to be.
Okay.
That's a good point, actually. I've just thought of that. So it's more leaned on in the Dark World that she teaches him the tricks and teaches him to be mischievous. So do you think he just earns the title of the god of mischief?
Well, this is something that I always
because what we forget is they've not been around for 20 years. They've been around for thousands of years.
This is what I wanted to touch upon. So in this movie, it explains that these have been around for thousands of years, and that humans have based their Norse
mythology
on their existence, because it says at the beginning we knew about them thousands of years ago. What is interesting is, we know in our mythology that Loki is a bastard, but they don't know that. So why do we have that knowledge and they don't have that knowledge? Now, the comics have a really good reason for this, and I thought we were eventually going to get to it in the films, but they went a different direction. So in the comics, Ragnarok is a reset.
Yeah.
So they live in cycles.
Yeah.
Ragnarok, Asgard is destroyed and they're all resurrected again, and they live the same cycle again, which is why they're just on a different cycle to us, and that's why we already have the reveal that Loki is a cunt, and they don't know that yet, because they're living that kind of loop again.
Yeah.
But that's not what Ragnarok is in this universe, so that's not.
No,
I mean, I was looking out in this.
Within this universe, he flips a couple of pages of that Norse mythology.
Yeah, I suppose in this universe it never says.
It never gets to
No,
Loki.
it just says he's the god. There is a picture of Loki, and it may have said that. Yeah, you're right. Actually,
I'm trying to think because Selvig knows this mythology, doesn't he? He says these are the stories.
Yeah, you're right.
He never
in
goes.
MCU,
he never goes. Where's your dickhead brother?
Yeah.
Because he's not coming, is he?
Yeah,
he does in the second one. Because he knows at that point.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I am implanting our universe's knowledge of those characters onto their universe's knowledge of. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's a good way. That's a good way to explain it. Okay. Last week we spoke about Black Widow and how well she was written into that movie.
Yes.
And she, not only did she serve the purpose of the plot, she was well established for when the Avengers comes along.
Yeah.
There's a character in this movie who is the complete opposite of that, and that is Hawkeye.
Oh, for God's sake. I've been racking my brain. Who the fuck are you talking about when you mentioned that last week?
Yeah. Hawkeye is terrible. No, he's not terrible in this movie. The execution of that establishment of that character is really bad. Like, it's not established who he is, what he does. Like, I don't want to. I'll get into it in a couple of weeks' time with Avengers. But I'm pretty sure that Joss Whedon was under the impression that this character was fully established, and that's why he does what he does with this character in the first scene.
Right.
And he isn't.
Right.
Like, we don't know this character at all. And this movie, I think, should have done better at kind of making him a character and getting us to know who he is.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Well, the fact that you were just sat there going like, "Who the fuck am I?"
Yeah, who the hell? I think.
Yeah, it's because this he's barely in it.
But yeah, it's more of a Easter egg than.
He should have been. You should have looked at the script and gone, "Okay, what does Coulson do in this movie? Can we not have Hawkeye do that, or like just have him more of a presence? Have him as more of a consultant, as a thread through the movie."
But
I was trying to think if there was action scenes that we can put him into. Maybe you could rewrite the action scene where Thor fights the big guy. He's in his human form and he goes to get Mjolnir, and Hawkeye is up on his perch with a bow and arrow pointing at him and does nothing. Maybe instead of and he sees him fight the big guy and he makes comments about it. Maybe you could have had an action scene in which Hawkeye fights Thor.
Yeah.
That would have then, and you could have had some kick-ass bow and arrow. That could have been where Thor really learns his, how weak he is as a human. Because he takes an arrow to the fucking arm or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't know, just a Hawkeye scene.
Yeah, no, that would have been much better.
Yeah.
And he could have even showed up to try and help with the Destroyer.
I mean, I was thinking about that watching it, because the problem about having him set up, then it becomes the Thor and Hawkeye movie. If you do that, so maybe that might not be a particularly good idea. But that was my initial thought. Yeah, have him as an ally all the way through. But then it does become the Hawkeye and Thor movie then. But yeah, it just
does it? No, because like you just said, Coulson should maybe not necessarily have been in this movie then, or not as much.
Yeah.
Just
share half of Coulson's screen time with, instead of having Coulson as the Shield agent, you have Coulson and Hawkeye as his second in command of this project.
Yeah.
And then you just have some screen time with him.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it more because Hawkeye could have quite easily been the one to greet the Destroyer as Coulson does.
Yeah.
And then he could have fired a couple of fucking arrows at it and that didn't work.
Yeah.
And then the Destroyer obviously comes to town, wrecks the town.
Yeah.
And then Coulson turns up. That could have quite easily been Hawkeye. You're right. I've never thought about it like that. Because that would have played really well in the tone of Avengers. There could have been some jokes as to, well, I kicked her ass once, going back to the scene you were just talking about that could have happened.
Yeah.
Where Hawkeye would have beat Thor.
Yeah.
That'd have been great in Whedon's Avengers. Is for another little rivalry of
between those
fucking whooped you.
Yeah.
And then there's a fight between him and Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been fucking amazing. I've never really thought about that. I've always kind of liked it as just a little bit of a cameo.
Because now it's just a cameo, but it needed to be an establishment. Because, sorry to keep jumping a couple of weeks ahead, Avengers doesn't, in the Avengers script, Hawkeye isn't established before he's changed.
No.
And now I think that Joss Whedon assumed that he was established, and he's not.
No.
Yeah, and I think that's a big problem with this movie. Well, it's not a big problem within the context of this movie, but for the universe, I think it was a big problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, again, I feel like there's a focus problem like there is in, Iron Man 2 with the villain, in the sense that the villain's plot isn't really put into motion until like an hour into the movie.
Right.
I don't know, I just feel like I understand that it's a slow burner, and that's maybe, again, comparing it to, Two-Face and The Dark Knight, that might be the strength of Loki's character, is the fact that he doesn't start putting, he's not a villain from day one.
Yeah.
But it just does feel a little bit odd of like, okay, now what are we doing? Okay, what are we doing now? Films don't usually do that, it's kind of quite, the first act sets up, okay, here's the juxtaposition, let's go. Where I think this movie takes a little bit too long to get into it, because even when Thor is banished, Loki isn't the villain yet. He's still then got shit to find out. Yeah. And it has that Iron Man and Iron Man 2 problem, where that moment in the movie is like, okay, so what are we doing now? Like, okay, let's work this out together. And it doesn't have drive. Yeah. Maybe I'm just being a bit, like, I like knowing where a movie's going, and when it gets to these points, it's not quite clear. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, maybe a little bit more focus there.
I don't know, at that point, are we not supposed to believe... It's hard to try and think about what I was thinking the first time I watched it. At that point, are we not supposed to believe that the bad guys are still the Frost Giants?
Yes, you're probably right, yeah. And Iron Man 1 has this as well, where you're supposed to just think that the terrorists are the villains, and that's what's driving you through as a threat of the villains.
Yeah.
I don't think that works at all in Iron Man 1, but it does work in this. You are right. There's still the mystery of the Frost Giants and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the fact they're imminently going to attack
Asgard.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah, that does actually work. Yeah, Loki then just becomes the backdoor third act villain, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, is he the backdoor third act villain? Because in the third act you find out that actually, second act you find out that actually he was him all along, and he sort of had.
And it'd been him.
But so sorry, going back to what was his plan at the beginning? Was his plan just to fuck up Thor's crowning day?
Yeah.
Because he was jealous.
Yeah.
But then that one thing led to another.
Yeah.
And then he gets touched by the Frost Giant in Jotunheim, and that's
so basically it's because
something else is going on.
Well, yeah, it's because of his mischief. So he did it to fuck up his day, and then so the day was fucked up.
Yeah.
Then when he sees that Thor is going off the fucking handle, he's like, I can get him into some shit here. And then, says some reverse psychology to make him go after the Frost Giants, which they all go to the Frost Giants.
Yeah, because at that point, Loki just wants to be king.
Yeah, well, I don't think he just wants to be king. I don't even think he wants that. He just wants to, get his brother into trouble. Because there's that line where he assumed that Heimdall was just going to tell Odin straight away, and they wouldn't even get into any trouble. That it would just be them getting onto the Frost Giants' planet. Then Odin would be straight after them, wrap their knuckles, and then send them home to bed, sort of thing. That was kind of his plan. That was how he.
I thought he wanted to be king.
No, I mean. Maybe I was reading it wrong, but there is that line where he's just like, I just wanted to mess with my brother's day.
Yeah.
And then he says about the fact that he was pissed off with Heimdall and the fact that they inadvertently started a war.
Yeah. Okay.
And you can tell that through there because there's that bit where they have the argument with the leader of the Frost Giants and they're about to walk away, and you can see that Loki really just wants it to be okay. Let's just go.
Yeah.
And then when he says some shit to Thor, and then Thor starts the fight, he's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
because that's not how Loki understands that he's created this problem and that it's got out of hand.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then his brother gets banished, and I think it's then when he's like, "Oh, I can be king."
Yeah,
and that's when he starts being a bit of a prick. I mean, he was a bit of a prick before, but that's when he becomes a real bastard.
Yeah,
and lies to Thor about his dad being dead and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. And mother forbids you to come home.
Yeah, exactly, and all that kind of thing. And then he learns that he's a Frost Giant, and then, then it just escalates from there.
No, he learns that before.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that is his motive to be king, isn't it?
Yeah. So he learns that before because that's when Odin falls into the Odin sleep, whatever the fuck it's called. Yeah.
Okay, there's just a little bit of scene, I just want to get into the nitty gritty. There's a bit that really bugged me in the last battle. So there's a bit where... So they're fighting in the throne room. Loki kicks Thor out of the window or ends up smashing him out into the sky. It's fine, he can fly. Then Loki gets on a horse and rides down the Rainbow Bridge, and then Thor catches him up flying. Thor would be there way quicker than him. Like he's been given the head start. Like he's just been kicked out of the throne room. He just flies to the fucking to the what's it fucking called? What's the word I'm looking for?
The Rainbow Bridge.
The Rainbow Bridge. What's at the end of it? What are they called? The thing that
I can't remember. It's fucking gone on my head as well.
Yeah, Heimdall's gun thing that takes you places. Can't even fucking remember what it's called. We're such fucking dickheads.
Well,
but people are shouting at us. Right
now.
Yeah, but that thing.
Yeah.
Because he wants to close it down. Oh yeah, because the plan was they're going to use the strength of it to destroy the
Jotunheim.
Yeah. And then so they have to go and stop it, and then so the idea is there's a race there.
Yeah.
But Thor should be there way quicker. It just makes no sense in staging. They should have written that better.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, then to the ultimate sacrifices, we destroy the Rainbow Bridge. We just destroy the gateway to Earth.
Yeah.
And there's that thing of like, but you'll never see her again. You see who? What, Jane, the woman that I met for like 2 days? Who gives a fuck? Like, I'm not going to sacrifice an entire planet. Like, the film plays out as if it's this ultimate choice.
Yeah.
Like, the love of my life. And it's just like, in the grand, I just don't buy their relationship. Like, I buy that they're cute on each other. And that, they have feelings for each other. But when it hits that moment, I just don't think
the love wasn't there, was it?
No.
Because no one in a normal movie set in the same place, they would have met each other in Act 1.
Yeah. Like, they're not soulmates, or they're not... And, I mean, that's... Their chemistry isn't great, and that's evident to the, later on in the franchise where they can just write her out and no one cares.
I thought it was fine in this movie.
It's okay, but you understand what I'm trying to say. It's not it for Loki to make that.
They're not quite star-crossed lovers,
Yeah,
are
exactly.
they? So,
for Loki
like
to be like, oh my god, I can't believe you're saving a planet over this woman you've known for 2 days. I can believe that. Yeah, I just find that feels like a forced moment to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else you have to say about this?
Yeah, just briefly, in that last battle, well, not quite the last battle, the destroyer battle in Mexico.
Yeah.
I fucking love that destroyer. I think.
I love the way it kind of
the way that it turns around when Sif goes through.
Yeah.
Goes through it.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Sif and the Warriors 3?
I don't care for them.
No.
And I don't mean I hate them. I mean I nothing them.
Yeah.
I don't care for them.
Which is a bit of a
I hate
shame.
them. I nothing them. The fact that they've now disappeared from continuity, they've gone. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's obviously something they tried and it didn't take. I like Sif more than I do the Warriors 3.
Well, she's still around, so.
Yeah.
Wherever she may be.
Yeah. But yeah, I just. Bleh.
Yeah.
It's something I don't mind. I must say that I'm not talking about being objective here, but being like personal opinion, the Thor movies are the ones that I don't give a fuck about too much.
Yeah.
Until Loki.
Yeah, till the latest one, yeah.
Okay, after credits scene then. Does it
yes.
make any sense, is the question.
No. Why?
Because Loki isn't on Earth, is he?
No, and how...
My first
never
reading...
met Selvig, so...
My first reading when I first ever saw that is that he is Selvig. He's taken.
Yeah, I think I thought that.
That's not how I read it this time. This time I read it that he was overlooking what was going on. So it's Selvig being shown the fucking cosmic cube, the Tesseract, and then you see his reflection looking on.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
I went a bit blank then because I was trying to think whether or not Selvig was already under control.
He isn't, no.
No, whether or not there was a time jump that we weren't made aware of.
No.
Or maybe that scene's close to Avengers, but it's not, is it? It's nowhere near it.
No.
So it should have been.
And Loki's not on Earth. So unless Loki can, view stuff from wherever he is, because he falls off the Rainbow Bridge into obscurity, he's obviously being caught by the... Who is it that he's making a deal with? It's not Ronan.
Thanos.
It's the Chitaris, isn't it? Yeah.
It's Thanos.
Oh yeah, it's Thanos. Yeah, but we don't see without going. It's the dude with the weird hands.
Yeah,
it's Thanos' agent.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, but it's with the Chitaris. So he's fallen there and kind of made a deal with them. So maybe wherever he is there, he can then project on Earth to spy on what's going on with the Tesseract. It just makes.
Actually, I'll buy that. Thinking ahead because he could project back there from Earth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's what he was doing on Asgard in this movie, wasn't he? He was on Asgard, but he then visits Thor as a ghost. But was that using the power of Heimdall, or is that something they can just do anyway?
I think it's something that you can do.
Then that scene this scene's fine then.
Yeah. It just is a little bit odd before seeing Avengers, I suppose, because it's like, how does he know about the Tesseract? Why does he care about the Tesseract?
Yeah. But if Thanos has put him onto it. Yeah.
I can buy that.
Okay. The one shot. I want to talk about the one shot that came with the DVD Thor.
I meant to watch it, but I didn't get around to it. So
okay. It's the Negotiator. Have you ever seen it?
The Consultant. It's called.
Oh, the Consultant. Sorry, why did I call it the Negotiator? Yeah.
Because you've seen
Sam
Jackson movie.
Yeah. Sam Jackson in mind.
I have seen it a very long time ago. I can't quite remember. I remember the gist of it, but go on.
So just to explain to people, the Marvel one shots were just little short movies that were released with the DVDs.
They should definitely come back.
And it was just to flesh out.
Yeah.
It was to flesh out the universe, but it was some of them to flesh out the universe, and some of them. This one in particular is to fix continuity, and there's another one to kind of fix continuity as well. And this one is, if I remember rightly, it's Coulson talking to another agent.
Is it Sitwell?
Sitwell, it is Sitwell. And they are talking, basically they're having a conversation, I'm not going to explain this well, about they need to approach Ross about having Abomination on the Avengers, but neither of them want Abomination on the Avengers. Well, I can't remember the bureaucratic reasons, but they're basically saying... We have to be seen to be approaching him, but we want him to say no about it, is essentially the conclusion they come to. And they're like, okay, right, we'll send in Stark. Stark will then ask for Abomination, piss Ross off so much he says no, and then we get what we want, is essentially the conversation.
Right.
So you have that conversation over dinner, then it cuts to the scene from The Incredible Hulk, where Tony Stark is talking to Ross at the end of The Incredible Hulk. And you think when you're watching The Incredible Hulk that they're talking about the Avengers initiative, and that's why he's there, to make that proposition. He's not. He's there to make the proposition to release control of Abomination.
Right.
And obviously he pisses Ross off, and Ross says no, and then Coulson and Sitwell get what they want.
Oh, awesome. I'm going to have to watch it.
So that's the way that they
Okay.
rewrite that, because that scene makes no sense in the wider continuity of the Avengers, but now it does.
Yeah.
Because that's they've subverted the reason that Tony Stark is there. So that's quite
you can pretty much ignore that movie anyway, can't you?
Yeah, I talk to some people that think it's not in continuity. It is in continuity because Ross makes it in continuity.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously so does Tony. But you can't ignore that movie.
Yeah.
You get nothing from it.
Yeah. Well, I've not rewatched it.
Okay.
I've watched everything else up to this point, doing the Road to Infinity War, but I've just skipped that one. I would have watched it, but I don't own it.
Yeah, okay.
And I've not gone out of my way to get it.
Yeah.
So
it is the one that feels least
I just
MCU-y.
listened to your episode about it.
Yeah, it feels the least MCU,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Okay, so we get to the point of the episode where we rank the MCU movies so far that we've viewed.
Okay.
So where would you put this one?
Where am I putting this one? I'll probably putting this one second from bottom, actually.
Okay, so just to confirm, you think it goes Iron Man top?
What we got? Is this number 5?
This is number 4.
It's number 4, sorry. So yeah, Iron Man 2, Thor, Hulk.
I disagree with you. I would go Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2. Iron Man at the top, Thor, Iron Man 2, and Hulk at the bottom. I think this is second.
Okay.
I think this is second. Just because of all that stuff at the beginning with Branagh, and Loki's story arc is great. This film is fun. If you go back and listen to my episode from last week, I really spout out some big problems with Iron Man 2, and I think that makes. Although I think this movie is a bit nothing. It's a bit, like I said, it's a bit small potato when it comes to going to Earth, and kind of its ambition is small and on that scale. It feels like a very enclosed small story.
But the Asgard stuff carries you.
Yeah, the Asgard stuff carries me, and that just means this film isn't great. It doesn't mean it's bad. Where I do think there's big problems with Iron Man 2, which this one doesn't have so much. So I'd say this is the second best out of the 4 movies that we talked about so far.
Okay. Well, as
you
told
just
you last week, I fucking loved Iron Man 2.
The stuff that you love about Iron Man 2 brings it above.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
Cool.
Okay, excellent. We'll wrap this up then. Again, as I say every week, if you want our archive stuff, it's on YouTube at the Longbox Month in Comics.
And send Doug a message.
And I'll put a link at the bottom. Yeah, write some comments and stuff. That'd be great. I'll put a link at the bottom of this podcast as well, so you can find it. Okay, I've been Doug.
I've been Danny.
Read more comics.